Modern real estate practice, page 86. Boundaries are measured by calculating the dimensions and area to determine the exact location of a piece of land. Courts have stated that a description is legally sufficient if it allows a surveyor to locate the parcel. In this context, locate means that the surveyor must be able to define the exact boundaries of the property. Several alternative systems of identification have been developed to express a legal description of real estate. Methods of describing real estate. There are three basic methods currently used to describe real estate: meets and bounds, rectangular or government survey, lot and block, recorded plat. Although each method can be used independently, the methods may be combined in some situations. Some states use only one method, others use all three. About 10 states, including Hawaii and Colorado, have properties that are identified by means of a Torrens certificate, which is used and guaranteed by the state. The Torrens system was created by Robert Torrens in Australia in 1858. Because of the expense involved in verifying a property description before issuing a certificate, the Torrens system was not widely adopted in this country, but it is still popular in Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. Today, technology allows for greater precision both in land measurement and record keeping. The use of a satellite-based geographic information system, GIS, to locate land boundaries and objects with amazing accuracy, and the use of computer assisted design, CAD, programs to create maps have created a new era in land description. The National Geospatial Advisory Committee, www.fgdc.gov/NGAC, was created in 1994 to coordinate geographic data acquisition and access. The Federal Bureau of Land Management and the USDA Forest Service were charged in 1998 with the task of developing the National Integrated Land System, NILS, in cooperation with states, counties, and private industry. Recognizing the need for consistent standards of data collection and use, the Cadastral Data Content Standard was created by the Federal Geographic Data Committee, www.fgdc.gov, to integrate information found in publicly available land records. The NILS is being designed to be compatible with land descriptions utilizing both the meets and bounds method and the rectangular survey system. Meets and bounds method. The meets and bounds method of land description is the oldest found in the United States, and it was used in the original 13 colonies, as well as those in states that were being settled while the rectangular survey system was being developed. Meets means to measure, and bounds means linear directions. The method relies on a property's physical features to determine the boundaries and measurements of the parcel. A meets and bounds description starts at a designated place on the parcel called the point of beginning, POB. The point of beginning is also the point at which the description ends. From there, the surveyor proceeds around the property's boundaries. The boundaries are recorded by referring to linear measurements. Natural and artificial landmarks called monuments and directions. A meets and bounds description always ends back at the point of beginning so that the tract being described is completely enclosed. Page 87. Monuments. Monuments are fixed objects used to identify the POB, all corners of the parcel or ends of boundary segments, and the location of intersecting boundaries. In colonial times, a monument might have been a natural object such as a stone, a large tree, a lake, or a stream. It also may have been a street, a fence, or other marker. Today, monuments are iron pins or concrete posts placed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, other government departments, or trained private surveyors. Measurements often include the words more or less because the location of the monuments is more important than the distances between them. The actual distance between monuments takes precedence over any linear measurements in the description. Because monuments can be moved, surveyors give their final meets and bounds reference in terms of cardinal points in distance. They include the statement to the point of beginning, POB, to ensure closure and to remove questions if an error in footage prevents closure. An example of a historical meets and bounds description of a parcel of land pictured in 6.1 follows. A tract of land located in Red Skull, Boone County, Virginia, described as follows. Beginning at the intersection of the east line of Jones Road and the south line of Skull Drive, then east along the south line of Skull Drive 200 feet, then south 15 degrees, east 216.5 feet, more or less, to the center thread of Red Skull Creek, then northwesterly along the center line of said creek to its intersection with the east line of Jones Road, then north 105 feet, more or less, along the east line of Jones Road to the point of beginning. Figure 6, period 1, meets and bounds track. That's the point of beginning. That's Skull Drive. That's the 200 feet. There's the 216.5. There's Red Skull Creek. There's Jones Road, and there's 105. When used to describe property within a town or city, a meets and bounds description may begin as follows. Beginning at a point on the southerly side of Kent Street, 100 feet easterly from the corner formed by the intersection of the southerly side of Kent Street and the easterly side of Broadway. Then, in this description, the POB is given by reference to the corner intersection. Again, the description must close by returning to the point of beginning. An example of a technically assisted meets and bounds description follows. Beginning at a point, POB, on the north side of Newberry Street, 100.50 feet east from the corner formed by the intersection of the east boundary of Peter Road and the north boundary of Newberry Street. Then east 90 degrees, 15 minutes, 200, period 22 feet, then north 1, page 88, degree, 3 minutes, 2 seconds, 300 feet. Then west 89 degrees, 10 minutes, 3 seconds, 200.05 feet. Then direct to the point of beginning. Meets and bounds descriptions are complicated. They can be difficult to understand when they include detailed compass directions or concave and convex lines. Sometimes the lines are curved on an arc or radius that becomes part of the description. Natural deterioration or destruction of the monuments in a description can make boundaries difficult to identify. Technological advances, such as the use of computers, lasers, satellites, and global positioning systems, have meant a resurgence in property descriptions using points of reference or meets and bounds descriptions. Rectangular Government Survey System. The Rectangular Survey System, sometimes called the Government Survey System, was established by Congress in 1785 to standardize the description of land acquired by the newly formed federal government. By dividing the land into rectangles, the survey provided land descriptions by describing the rectangles in which the land was located. The system is based on 2 sets of intersecting lines, principal meridians and baselines. The principal meridians run north and south, and the baselines run east and west. Both are located by reference to degrees of longitude and latitude. Each principal meridian has a name or number and is crossed by a baseline. Each principal meridian and its corresponding baseline are used to survey a definite area of land indicated on the map by boundary lines. There are 37 principal meridians in the United States, and each is referenced by a name or meridian number. Each principal meridian describes only specific areas of land by boundaries. No parcel of land is described by reference to more than one principal meridian. The meridian used may not necessarily be the nearest one. Tiers. Lines running east and west, parallel to the baseline and 6 miles apart, are called township lines. See figure 6.2. They form strips of land called tiers. Think of the tiers as being like the tiers of a wedding cake. The tiers are designated by consecutive numbers, north or south of the baseline. For instance, the strip of land between 6 and 12 miles north of a baseline is Township 2 North. Figure 6.2 township lines. You see the baseline, you see the principal meridian, and you see the township lines. Ranges. The land on either side of a principal meridian is divided into 6-mile wide strips by lines that run north and south, parallel to the meridian. These north-south strips of land are called ranges. See figure 6.3. They are designated by page 89. Consecutive numbers east or west of the principal meridian. For example, range 3 east would be a strip of land between 12 and 18 miles east of its principal meridian. Figure 6.3. Range lines. You know, north is going up. You have the baseline. You have the principal meridian 4. And then you have the smaller lines running parallel called range lines. They're like the opposite of tiers. Townships. When the horizontal township lines and the vertical range lines intersect, they form squares or townships that are the basic units of the rectangular survey system. See figure 6.4. A township is 6 miles square and contains 36 square miles, 23,040 acres. Each township is given a legal description. A township's description includes the designation of the tier in which the township is located, designation of the range, and name or number of the principal meridian for that area. The directions of township and range lines and tiers and ranges may be easily remembered by thinking of the words this way: township lines, range lines. For the township, you have an arrow going over the T, left and right. And for range lines, you have the R that's pointing down. Figure 6.4. Townships in the rectangular survey system. You have your baseline, you have your principal meridian, you have your range lines. The ones going up are township lines. In practice, in figure 6.4, the shaded township is described as Township 3 North, Range 4, east of the 4th principal meridian. This township is in the 3rd tier north of the baseline and in the 4th range east of the principal meridian. Finally, reference is made to the principal meridian because the land being described is within the boundary of land surveyed from that meridian. This description is abbreviated as T3N R4E 4th principal meridian. Sections. Townships are subdivided into sections and subsections called halves and quarters, which can be further divided. Each township contains 36 sections. Each section is 1 square mile or 640 acres with 43,560 square feet in each acre. Sections are numbered 1 through 36 as shown in figure 6.5. Section 1 is always in the northeast or upper right hand corner. The numbering proceeds right to left to the upper left hand corner. From there, the numbers drop down to the next tier and continue from left to right, then back from right to left. By law, each townships are numbered the same way a field is plowed. Remember, right to left, left to right, right to left, and so on.